Second Cup, sponsored by Public Espresso and Coffee.
Hi, everyone. Good morning to you. 8 o'clock on the start of your Monday morning. Glad you're with us to start the day. If you're waking up kind of feeling that pain of yesterday and you are feeling a little bloodshot, bleary-eyed, you're certainly not alone. Grab your phone, join the conversation. We'd love to hear from you. Katie is off, so we brought in Adam Campos with us this morning. Glad you're with us, Adam. Okay.
Always happy to be here.
Let's let it all hang out. We know you're getting dressed, getting ready for the day ahead. You're probably letting it all hang out at home. So let's air our grievances here. The Buffalo Bills lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. How are you feeling? It's okay to have this conversation. Let's have it together as a community.
It sounds like a support group right now.
That's
really what
it
it's turned into.
Let's say good morning to everyone who's here with us. Cheryl, good morning. Peter, Danielle is here. Grace, Connie, Caleb is here. Mark, Sandra, Jason, Megan, good morning to you. And Oli and Parker Spit is here. Carol, good morning. Connie, did I see your message on Instagram? I did see it. Yeah, she was talking about Stephon Diggs' numbers. Like they just weren't there, she says, this year. Bonnie from the North Branch of Michigan, good morning to you. Kathy and Lori says, sad morning. Felicia. Okay, Parker's Pit is blaming Taylor Swift. The distraction. I don't know. I don't think so.
Of course you know.
I don't know.
You were excited.
I was excited. Grace says, yes, next year and the year after that, and so on and so on and so on. I mean, what do you think? Where do we go from here? Do we think that eventually we will have a playoff caliber team that will then become Super Bowl caliber?
Well, we already have a playoff caliber team. I mean, they've made it to the playoffs. They've been able to do it consistently and make a decent run. I mean, one AFC championship run and then divisional round runs. But eventually, yeah, it's taking that next step to be that actual Super Bowl contender.
So Peter says still love the Bills. But look, at this point, not long ago, we talked about the Bills not making the playoffs. So I think they went further than what we expected to see. But like, I don't. I kind of think that we expected them to get to this point. Like, we've set this bar high. We have this expectation now that they are going to just make it into the playoffs. 1 round, 2 round, 3 rounds. But we also expect them to go to the playoffs to get to the Super Bowl. And we just can't seem to get over that hump.
Like those first few years, that's fine. Like, okay, maybe the AFC championship run. Okay, cool. 1 loss in the divisional round. Okay, that's fine as well. But once you're going like back to back to back to back on consistently like missing out on that huge jump into the Super Bowl, there's only so much that you can do with that. And it's deflating for fans as well, because you would think, all right, this is the year we're going to make that jump. And this was the best opportunity for them to do that with the schedule that they had lined up.
Kathy says, I feel like Jason Kelce is now part of the Bills Mafia. Did you see him drinking out of the bowling ball at one of the tailgates? That was hysterical.
Is that what he was drinking out of?
Oh,
I cannot tell.
It's a tradition.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what's in there, but it's a tradition to drink out of the bowling ball. I love Mark's comment. I'm laughing here. They should have sacrificed Taylor Swift to the pit. That's so funny. Diane, good morning. There is not a Buffalo team that can put the other team away. I guess you're talking about, between the Bills, the Sabres. And then Gary says, fire McDermott. So, okay, do you think that's where we are at this point? Do we think that we're at the point where we say, sorry, Shawnee boy, we're done with you?
That's the tough part, because with some coaches, it does take a lot of years to actually put together that roster. And that's the thing, even with some dynasty teams. I mean, for example, in the NBA with the Spurs, they won 5 titles over 20 years. So it takes time to build anything of championship caliber level. And as frustrating as it has been over these last 4 or 5 years for the Bills.
4 or 5? It's been like 20 something.
I'm saying with McDermott, though.
Yeah.
Like in terms of that, having McDermott and having Josh Allen as the forefront of the team, I mean, it's frustrating, but it's not like you can't just get out yet. That's the thing. Everybody probably even 2 years ago was probably like, fire McDermott. No, you can't do that.
I love Tracy's comment. I want to stay in bed all day. Why, Bills? I know. Tired of Taylor Swift, says John. Mark says they're way over the cap for this year and next year. Sandra says that's not going to solve the problem by getting rid of McDermott.
It's not.
So they're going to have all of these roster conversations now. And Beauvais was saying basically that they need to kind of figure out what's next. Okay, so is this the last of like the Jordan Poyers, the Micah Hydes, Does DeMar Hamlin get cut next year?
Mhm.
What happens to McDermott? Does Joe Brady keep his job? So many questions, that are still kind of up in the air with that big question mark. Peter says, I think Sean McDermott has the coaching in him, but I think he can't be both head coach and the defensive coach at the same time. Eventually, we will shake it off. Yeah, I mean, like,
Very
that's
true.
really a good point. I mean, you're doing 2 jobs for the price of 1, no less. Hopefully he's getting paid a little bit more, but that's besides the point. Catherine says McDermott has been amazing. Our defense was hurt and Bass is unreliable. Also, some badly dropped balls. I know every time Tyler Bass kicks, I find myself holding my breath. And it's, I think, really because of his first season with us, where he was just missing constantly.
Yeah.
And, it's so funny because every time he makes it in, I go, thank you, Tyler Bass.
Cool.
Good job, Tyler Bass.
There you
like
go.
I'm talking myself into the positivity here, trying to channel that into Tyler Bass.
Well,
Mary,
I
go ahead.
think people made a good point. The drop passes. I mean, because it wasn't just that Stephon Diggs drop pass. I know there was one with James Cook. He cut up the middle going in, and he could have picked up a lot of yardage on that. I think it could have been for a touchdown. I don't remember the play exactly, but I know one with Cook specifically. That could have been a huge play for us. And they just, none of those big plays came through for them.
Let James Cook. Love that. Mary says many people counted them out at 6-6. It's an accomplishment that they made it this far. That's what Travis Kelce was saying to Josh Allen last night after the game. There were just too many injuries this year. Still my team.
Mhm.
Love that. And then Howard says too many claim injuries and sit there and still collect a paycheck. Good point. Diane says Joe Brady interviewed for a head coaching job. So yes, he may be gone also.
Ooh. And there are some good team. The Chargers, for one, is an example with the offensive talent that the Chargers have. It wouldn't surprise me if he's looking over there.
Sandra says Josh did his job. The help was lacking in some areas, right? I mean, Josh threw some solid passes. Like, then it's on you to catch the ball, right?
Mhm.
That's your job. Noreen says they had a great run, too many injuries and hurt players. Love my Bills. Josh was awesome. And then Connie says bad reffing again. But there were so many calls that went our way.
I can't blame the reffing on this game at all. Like there was the pass interference that they called in the middle of the fourth or the third. I forget when it happened, but I don't think so.
Howard says Josh was okay. Too many little things. Aunt Linda, good morning to you. Josh can't do it all. He needs a team behind him. And like, how many times have we said on the show, Josh Allen is the Buffalo Bills. He is the quarterback. He is a wide receiver. He is the linebacker. He's just doing it all, and he's carrying the team on his shoulders. John says, John Brady should have stayed home. Joe Brady, rather, should have stayed home instead of interviewing with Atlanta. Ouch. Yikes. Hey. And then Grace says, sometimes you feel like the games are rigged. See, I've wondered that. There is this is my tin hat. I'm putting my tin hat on, being conspiracy theorist Ed instead of objective journalist Ed.
So there is a conspiracy theory going on with the Super Bowl. Have you heard it?
Nope, but I'm sure there is.
The conspiracy right now is that the last 3 Super Bowls, for the logos that have been put out for the Super Bowls, the colors have matched the teams that have made it. And this year it's purple and red.
So what, the 49ers and the Ravens?
Yep. That's what it's looking like right now. If it's going to follow the conspiracy theory, it's going to be a Ravens 49ers Super Bowl.
Okay, so Lori's weighing in here. I've heard the colors of the teams have been picked already. What? That is so insane. If that is actually true.
It's just happened to happen the last 3 years.
It just happened to happen. And then who was saying, Beauvais, I think, was saying last week that Vegas always wins. But he was also saying that people were betting on the Bills. And so if Vegas always wins, then something must have happened that they didn't this time around.
Well, they don't want the
Bills
Chiefs.
Lost.
Yeah, they don't want the Chiefs to lose. That's why.
And then Diane says, "Yep, Adam, waiting to see if that's how it comes out. Put your Vegas bet in." Who says, "Okay, it's always the money," is what Megan says. Nurse D. Marie says, "I don't think Bass missing the field goal would have mattered. Mahomes would have moved the ball in the field goal position."
Well, and that's what I was saying to Hannah last night. That's what I was saying to my parents when I was talking to them. And I was saying to anybody that I was talking to, I said, even if they score that field goal, there was way too much time for Mahomes to be able to drive the ball down the field, get into field goal range. That's game right there. So even if he made it, it wouldn't have made a difference. They needed touchdown or nothing.
Barbara says, please, they played the one. They counted in instant replay from every angle. It did not cross the line. I swear those games are fixed. Sad to watch them lose. Christina says, I'm sick of the people complaining. claiming to be Bills Mafia. And then when things don't go our way, they talk so negatively about our guys and give up on them. No loyalty.
Call them out. Say it louder for the people in the back.
Name names here. Would love to hear from you and would love to hear who actually is talking about this. Joyce will never know in overtime. Noreen says they wanted Taylor at more games, so the Chiefs needed to win. Money talks. Oh, so okay. So Noreen is basically saying that Taylor's in on it.
We're flying with these conspiracies. This is hilarious.
Okay, can I tell you a funny story?
Yes.
So, huge Swiftie. Love Taylor. And so my sister and I found out on Twitter, because people are so smart on these social media platforms where they are just literal sleuths. Someone tweeted that Taylor Swift was coming in at 4:00 yesterday. So I'm like, Dana, I called up my sister. I'm like, we got to get to the airport. So we go where the Bills land. There's no one there. And we're just driving around, trying to figure out what's going on here. We go to Pryor Aviation then. We see these 10-year-old Swiftie girls. And we're like, did Taylor Swift come in? I'm talking to one of their moms. Turns out that they thought that she had just landed and that we missed her by about 10 minutes or so. So Dana and I are like, man, that sucks. So we left. Only to find out that she actually came in 10 minutes after we left.
Oh, I would have been hot.
And had we been there, we would have seen her getting off her plane, getting in the motorcade with the Kelsey family and leaving to go to Highmark Stadium. So no dice. We'll just have to wait until November to see her in Toronto. Who's paying off the refs? Grace wants to know. Mark says the NFL is trying to get her near the Super Bowl. Kelly says, I agree. The one Chiefs touchdown was not legit, but they did in fact give him a score. And then Tracy says, agreed. A Bass field goal would have left way too much time for number 15 Mahomes. It doesn't mean overtime. Bass is already beating himself up. I know. I feel really bad. And you know what?
Yeah.
Janine Talley, Daryl Talley's wife, sent out this tweet overnight. And I think it's really important that we kind of just remember what she has to say. She was talking about the moment that Scott Norwood kicked the wide right field goal. And it was like that game-winning field goal. The game was on the line, and it went wide right. So here's Janine Talley talking about that Super Bowl where Norwood's wife was sitting behind me during the kick, and she mentions the kick. We weren't especially friends, no reason other than we just didn't run in the same circle. And I reached my hand behind myself and held hers. I felt the pain she felt when he missed. I know that feeling forever. Like, that is gut-wrenching.
It's tough. Anytime, like, when you're an athlete and you're in the midst of big games like that and you come up short like that, all the weight in the world just comes on to you because you know what everybody's saying. You know what everybody's thinking. And really all people can do is just leave them alone. Like, let them be. Do not try to interact with them. That was me as an athlete. I'm like, leave me alone if I didn't play well. And for him, like, ultimately, it's just going to be letting him kind of just soak it in as a player himself. Like, I know he's going to be getting messages, and people shouldn't really be doing that. No. They're human.
Well, and look, the city of Buffalo after that game really lifted up Scotty Norwood. I mean, when the Bills had that big celebration outside City Hall, remember that? And Scott came out and everyone went nuts cheering for him. That's something that you just keep in the back of your mind. And, at the end of the day, we're people. We're human. Everyone has a bad day, and we can channel this negativity and put it into something positive. I'm going to post a reel about that on my Instagram. Follow me on Instagram at DranchTV.
Adam R. Campos,
there
my
you
name.
Go. Okay, want to let you know that we've got some breaking news coming into the newsroom this morning. Want to take you live to the 400 at Seneca Street. There's a bad crash there, and take a look. It looks like a majority of the lanes there are closed off to traffic. So if you're heading this way on the 400 northbound at Seneca Street in West Seneca, the left lane here is closed. But look at how traffic is slowly creeping there on the 400. And we don't really know any information about this or if anyone's been hurt here. But as we get some more information, we will certainly keep you posted. Just wanted to let you know that this is happening in real time. And, oh, gosh, it looks like they're stopping traffic here. Let's pause for a second and just see what's going on. Jeanette, though, talking about the game. They probably mentally prepared to win and lose. It might be harder for the fans that weren't really anticipating a loss.
It is.
No kidding. Okay, so it looks like they are just trying to clear this accident on the 400. This is in West Seneca. Again, this is one of those places that's going to be a little bit dicey as you're heading out for your morning commute. Okay, let's talk about this. As you're getting ready for work or you're going back to school this morning after a week off, do you dread going into work because you have a really terrible work-life balance? And if so, would you take a pay cut to have a better work-life balance? Because there's this new survey out from Ford, of all places, Ford Motor Company, revealing about half of the global workforce would accept a 20% pay cut to get a better work-life balance. No way.
No. You said how much?
20%.
Absolutely not. I can't even take 1%. I know I need all my money right now.
So the majority of these people here say while they feel connected to their jobs, they just don't feel the stress is worth it. I wonder about that. Experts say if you do consider looking to take that pay cut for a better work-life balance to better your mental health, then you got to make sure that you've got some savings here, because if you're making a certain amount of money and then you're making 20% less just to have a better work-life balance, see, like that doesn't make any sense to me because
how is that going to give you a better life balance?
Well, exactly. So like if you want to have that life, you need the money to make it work. Della says, no, that's crazy. Kelly, good morning to you. Glad you're with us. She says, I took a huge pay cut to get a better work-life balance. So Kelly, I'm interested why, and do you feel like your life has improved now that you've taken that pay cut, number one, and number two, getting that, work-life balance under control?
Linda says she thinks it's more important to be happy at work and enjoy what you're doing, which is true, obviously. That's the thing. Even as stressful as, say, our job gets, with any job, I mean, if you're enjoying it like we do, it's worth it.
Crystal says, my job stresses me out. Crystal says, I'm definitely underpaid. Then Justin says, it ain't about the money. It's the quality of life. So Russell always says that money is not a motivator. And he went to business school and he says money's not a motivator. I say, wrong.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Bonnie says, my husband did that. No way. Worse hours, more work. He was 60. Jason says, I work for my family. Sometimes I just want to quit and go back to college. And then Heather says, with the economy, I don't know how I could make less without adding stress. Because of that, work-life balance is important. Prioritizing your life is key. Absolutely. And then
go ahead.
Barbara, that point says, if you feel that way, you need to reevaluate your career choice.
I just, like you said, if you're going to do, I can understand doing switching career choices, like she said, and to be able to get that better work-life balance. But to have that same job and then take 20% off, it doesn't really make sense.
Diamond says, I feel like, what does work-life balance mean to you and not money? Okay, so that's a really good point. So what do you value more, having that work-life balance? Okay, look, maybe if you were a parent, and I'm just trying to put myself in a parent's position, obviously gay as the day is long, don't have kids, have a dog, much happier. Like if I'm a parent and I've got 2 kids at home and I, want to make sure that I'm spending time with them, but also need to make money, then maybe taking that pay cut is best for me to be able to have those formative years spent with me as a parent.
And that makes sense. When it comes to parenting, like even like my dad, he never decided to like move up with what he was doing because he wanted to be sure that he could coach me on the weekends, coach my brother on the weekends, and be in those moments with us when we were growing up we found our love of sports through him. So if he had ever moved up in his job or he had taken a different job, he would have ended up having to work weekends and he wouldn't have been able to do that.
And so you value that as now an adult, and then as your dad did when you were a child. Kelly says, I was a single parent for years and definitely couldn't change course for a better balance. I had bills to pay, kids to provide for.
Mm-hmm.
And Elizabeth is kind of speaking to my point here. Took a pay cut to have more time with my kids when they were babies. So, realistically, if you're taking a 20% pay cut, that's almost a quarter of your salary. Think about that. If you're making $50,000, I'm really bad at math. What is a quarter of $50,000? John, can you? Let me put this into perspective. If you're making $100,000.
There you go. That's a lot better.
Let's do the easy math here. You're missing out on $25,000.
That's a lot. That is a lot in a year.
Yeah.
And I just don't see that could change really a whole course of what you're doing. I don't see how somebody could do that.
Sherry says, my husband works 6 or 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. or as late as 9 p.m. It sucks. I wish he had normal hours. He drives tractor trailers. And so then you factor in the weather, you factor in bad drivers, and it just makes all of that stress that much worse.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren, good morning, Lauren. I work 2 days a week to make a little extra money for us, but to still be there for my kids. So, right. So she was working full time, had 2 kids. Yes, it's painful, perhaps only in the short term, though. If you're still able to get back into the workforce once they grow up, or they're at a point where they don't necessarily need mom and dad by their side all the time, then maybe, you've got that opportunity to go back in.
I think it really is just situational in terms of who could do it. Like, you could ask it in a general audience and most people would probably say just no way. But for the most part, I think a lot of people, they end up making that decision based on what's happening for them in real time.
Peter, thank you so much for your help, Peter. A quarter of $50,000 is $12,500. Thank you for bailing me out, Peter. I can always count on you.
There's a reason I was a comm major. I could not do math, none of that.
Lauren kind of weighing in, just saying that she agrees. Eventually, I'll be back full time. She caveats that, though, couches it saying eventually. Yes, we know, Lauren. We know how much you like being home and watching the Golden Girls.
That's adorable. I love
that. Julie says, there's never enough. The more we have, the more we spend. No kidding. Diamond says you spend all the time trying to make the money to have an amazing life. And in the meantime, things change. Children grow. And I feel like we never actually get the good life. I work 24 hours and raise kids. But when will things pay off?
That's a tough thing about it. It's one comes with another thing. Like it's hand in hand with each other. It feels like all the time. Granted, I'm just starting this real adulting life.
I know, you're still a baby.
So I'm still a baby. Should I be talking? Probably not. But I think I could offer something to this.
Diamond, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Lauren's cracking up. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. Vincenzo, he's so cute. This weekend I was holding little Rosalie Grace. She's such a little baby doll. We had a birthday party this weekend for Russ's cousin's. Now, I guess it's like his second cousin, right? I mean, his cousin's son. So I was holding little baby Rosalie Grace. She's 4 months old now, and little Chenzo is just running around his boots. He was calling them his fast boots. So he was running at lightning speed, but they were a little bit too big for him. So he was tripping and falling every time he started taking off. It was hysterical.
That is adorable.
Jeanette, living on less becomes a blessing once you master it. I'm working on purging a lot of things I don't need. Less is more. Good for you.
Nice.
That goes a long way, doesn't it?
Purging is always the best thing you could do. Especially with my parents, 20 years in the same house, almost 30 now. Yeah, they need to do something.
A little Marie Kondo. Heather says solo parenting is the most difficult to prioritize money over time with the kids, making sure you choose a career you can pursue and be happy doing for many years. Factoring in daycare costs in addition to the cost of living, eventually we can all make it, but we have to make sure that our priorities are what fits the needs of your family. That's true.
Mm-hmm. You can want all you want, but you got to make sure you're doing what's best for the people around you.
Heather says what we need and what we want are two different things.
As I just said.
Yep. There you go.
There we go, Heather. We on the same wavelength.
And
I love
Lauren
it.
says, don't forget you were the favorite part of his day.
Look at Uncle Ed.
I love it. I love it. Nancy says, Dad always said, if you don't have cash in hand, you don't need it. See,
It's like, hold on, mate. Like, let's
but
see.
then you have a credit card and you're like, but maybe I do need it. Buy now, pay later kind of thing. And you're like, I can just, sit on this interest for 30 days and then maybe pay it off.
Yeah, then you end up with $1,000 on your card and you're like, whoa, where'd that come from?
How did this get here? I know. Linda says, money can't buy love, so you need to be happy with what you do. Right. And you know what? You can't love somebody else until you love yourself. So if you're not happy, then you're probably barking up the wrong tree here. Look, I get it. I mean, it's difficult no matter what to make ends meet these days. But if you're kind of inflicting the pain on yourself, it's going to be that much more difficult. You know what I mean? Taking a 20% pay cut, that is a lot of money.
It is.
Consider that daycare itself is like $13,000 a year. So if you're taking a 20% pay cut, I mean, I guess there you are. You're paying for you don't have the money to pay for daycare, but perhaps mom and dad is staying home. You're taking that loss so that you can provide the daycare.
Again, it really just all depends on who's doing what's best for them at the time.
Tracy says, I don't know what the answer is, but unfortunately we have people working until 75 or 80. She says, I need to live somebody in somewhere in Europe. And then Heather kind of putting the period at the end of the sentence. 20% is a huge cut. Sure is. Hey, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate you trying to put that smile on your face on a Monday after what was a kind of crappy weekend for the Bills.
We needed this.
Yep. So we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Have a great day.